Kyler Murray. Here's James Jones. Two things to consider. Number one, Arizona's owner gave the head coach and general manager, Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury, extensions. So he sent a message to Kyler Murray and his agent and everybody else. We're not going to get bullied here. These guys are staying. We don't know if you are, Kyler, but those guys are staying. You're not going to bully us. Secondly, Kyler Murray's issues, and I've been told this for years, they were well aware of him when they drafted him. He tends to be sort of selfish, aloof. I mean, he wasn't totally committed to football. He's just wildly talented, like crazy talented. He's gotten better every year, and they've won more games every year, and they love him. But they kind of knew his stuff. So this is being presented as, oh my God, can you? They've been doing this stuff behind the scenes for years. They knew this day would come. They strongly believed he would be more of a holdout guy than a Dak or a Brady or a Russell Wilson. That was his personality. His dad has a presence. This is something that they're well aware of. And they have budgeted to sign Kyler Murray. They don't want to sign him early, and they're concerned about his health. He's been hurt twice. I said this when he came out. You can't look at his size and tell me it's not somewhat of a concern. Nobody thinks, you know what I want my quarterback to be? 5'10". They don't. Everybody would love Russell Wilson to be 6'3" and move around like that. Size is offensive linemen now are 6'7". You don't want a 5'10" quarterback. He's not a great pocket thrower. Some of it, like Russell Wilson is, he has to kind of create passing lanes because he is a little shorter. It's not ideal. Now, Russell's going to be a Hall of Famer. Kyler could be a Hall of Famer as well, but it's not ideal. Years ago, there was a quarterback. Many of you, most of you have never heard of him. His name was Fran Tarkenton. He went to Georgia, then Minnesota. Fran was a great quarterback. He was 5'11". He ran around a lot. Why? Because he had to create passing lanes. It's hard to see over the offensive linemen that are now all 6'6" and 6'7". Some are taller than that. So Larry Fitzgerald called out Kyler Murray publicly. Larry Fitzgerald is probably the most respected NFL player, the singular most respected NFL player in 20 years. He is the gold standard of American football players. He is the gold standard. And Larry Fitzgerald called him out, said, Arizona gave him too much too early. He feels himself a lot. They know this. They've dealt with it. It's discussed. It's known in the building. But it's a great division. He's a remarkable player. I would re-sign him. I would try to structure it based on I'll pay him a ton of money guaranteed early. I don't want to get trapped late because I do worry about his health. I said this about Deebo Samuel. I love Deebo Samuel. He's not built. The tarmac's not long with Deebo. Like Larry Fitzgerald didn't get hurt. Calvin Johnson, some guys you feel like you can play for 15 years. DK Metcalf, my guess is, won't be hurt a lot. He's just so physically unique. Julio Jones is broken down now, but after like 10, 12 years of just being so reliable. There are certain athletes, their style, their body, they were hurt in college, they're smaller, they get in, they're more collision prone. George Kittle, I love George Kittle of the Niners, but he collides for a living. Gronk collides for a living. Deebo Samuel does. And so with Kyler, I'd like to structure it so I'm not trapped if he gets hurt again, and he will. I told you years ago, I had he's going to be a Hall of Fame player, a defensive end in the NFC tell me off air, I've hit him. He don't like to get hit. Kyler doesn't like to get hit. When you're 5'10", running around and weigh 90 pounds less than the guy's whacking you, he doesn't like to get hit. And he said, I don't think he's long for the league. I think he's great, and I think he'll play, but that career is going to be closer to 9 years than 20. And so if I was Arizona, this is a player that I would pay. But a lot of this is being presented as, this is an exploding problem and you've got to move off him. Arizona's been well aware of this stuff and has been managing it and has budgeted for it and is expecting it. And it's all good. And I think they're going to pay him. So when it gets presented as urgent and they're fearful and they don't know. Folks, just because your kid does something at school to get suspended, it doesn't mean the parents didn't know it was coming, right? Like there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Oh my God, our friends got divorced. Yeah, the couple knew about it for 3 years when they went to therapy. So Arizona's got this under control. It's now being thrust into the public light, which always makes it uncomfortable for GMs, coaches, players, owners, agents. That's not where you want to be. They know what's going on here. Kyler likes Arizona. The coach loves him. He likes the coach. They'll get this done, is my prediction. You just got to figure out they're not going to be bullied. They extended their coach and GM. They will not be bullied on this, but they got their arms around this. I don't know if they're all going to therapy, but they've got their arms around this situation. Joy with the news. No. Why? Well, young crowds, more testosterone, no kids often, not married. They spend their money on sports. They're loud. You want to have tickets that young people can afford. But there is a city in the country that has lots and lots of rich young people. I'm reading it here. The U.S. city with the most millennials earning the most money, number 1 is San Francisco. And number 2 is neighboring Oakland. And they are all Warrior fans. That is the loudest arena in the NBA, and it's not close. No fan base feeds off its team, and no team feeds off its fan base. What about Phoenix? Phoenix's home and road record's the same. They're great everywhere. Because of all the money in tech, the Warriors have the youngest, most rabid fan base. You want young fans. Old Yankee Stadium, younger crowd, wildly raucous. Then they rebuilt it, charged more for tickets. That made the crowd older and more affluent. The stadium got quieter. I saw this at the University of Oregon. Autzen Stadium was a crazy place. Then they rebuilt it, charged more for tickets, priced out a lot of the young people. But San Francisco and Oakland is where young people make millions of dollars and buy seats on the floor. By the way, third is New York. It's why Madison Square Garden is so loud. You want young crowds, and what you saw last night, it was palpable on television. The Nuggets had the size, but they shrank. They became the McNuggets. The crowd, they have led after the first quarter in both games and then evaporated. You could see the seams, the tears, the fabric coming apart, and the crowd has a ton to do with it. I mean, Steph is great. When he played this year, they had the best record at home. And we don't give fans a lot of credit for stuff. We think it's just about athletes, but basketball is unique. Because of the proximity, fans to the players and fans to the officials, it can be more intimidating. In hockey, you don't hear the fans. Certainly you're not next to them. Same in football, same in baseball. But they did a study years ago on college basketball officiating. People always say the NBA's got bad officials. NBA's got great officials. They're human. They miss calls. And they found in college with younger officials, they were wildly influenced by crowds. Older NBA officials were not. But when you watch the Warriors, you are looking at the loudest, because young people drink more, right? They drink more, they stay up later, sports is a bigger part of their life, they don't have to go home, they're often not married, they don't have kids, and they party all night, and they live for the Warriors, and they're on the message board, and they get there early, and they get lubricated, and that crowd is insane. And I've watched the Nuggets now in back-to-back games completely unravel, 418 straight sellouts. And this is a memo to all you billionaires who want to build fancy new stadiums. You better create seating for young people. Now, in San Francisco and Oakland, it doesn't matter because young people make a ton of money. Same in New York. Madison Square Garden, if you've ever been to a basketball game at Madison Square, I've been in 30 basketball arenas. I've not been in the new Oracle. Madison Square Garden is just louder. It's all those Wall Street kids making money. They don't have to be home at night. They can sleep on their buddy's couch. They don't care. Sports is their life. But when you build these new stadiums, please, please, please keep in mind seating for young people, because it is an advantage for the Warriors. It is a clear advantage. That fan base is nuts. It's too bad Jim Dolan owns the Knicks and they can't get their act together, because basketball is better when New York is great. And it's not because I love the uniforms. It's because Madison Square Garden is it's crazy. It is so loud, on top of you, lubricated. And what I watched over the last couple of games in this series, Denver's just not, they don't want that smoke. They got no interest. They are not ready for it. They're not ready for that crowd. They're not ready for that team. And the Warriors feed off it because their best player is a flashy player and he gets the crowd. This is not a dull, this is not a team, the bad boys, we play defense. This team's all about shooting threes, flash, speed, up and down the floor, and the crowd, and Steph gets them worked up. It is quite a scene on television. and the Warriors are back. Good luck to the rest of the NBA. So a second story. Utah Jazz could not beat the Mavericks without Luka. So they won 1 or 2 games. The Utah Jazz have always been a really good job. Coaching the Utah Jazz, really good job. With no chance to be a great job. It's like Wisconsin football. It's a really good job. Athletic director's good. Facilities are good. The fans are great. State of Wisconsin's got like 6 Division I players every year that can play. Utah's a good job. But they have to go international and get home runs in the draft because, like the Packers, it's not a free agent place. If you look at the greatest Jazz team of all time, they got Stockton and Malone in back-to-back picks, but one was 13th, one was 16th. They've got to hit home runs. They've got to go international. Bojan Bogdanovic, Rudy Gobert, Joe Ingles. They've got to go international because they don't get free agents. They got to hit home runs in the draft, and they've done it before.